I really welcome you to move at your own pace. If you want to go faster than me or slower than me, you absolutely can. You decide how you want to move your body here. So when you're ready, inhaling the arms up and exhaling into a forward fold. Finding a halfway lift when you're ready for it. And then exhale to let it go. If you're ready to step the feet back, you can plant the hands and find your way back. High or low plank here. Exhale, option to lower down. And an inhale, if you'd like to find a cobra shape. When you decide you're ready to press yourself back, I'll meet you there, either a child's pose or tuck the toes for a down dog. One breath here, wherever you're at. You can stay here as long as you like. Whenever you're ready to leave this shape, I'll meet you at the top of the mat. However you get there, whenever you get there. Inhale for a halfway lift when you're ready for it. And then exhale to fold. When you're ready to rise, we'll breathe in. And then exhale as we come into standing. Taking 3 to 5 breaths here. I invite you to bring the affirmation you created for yourself to mind. I am safe. I am loved. I am. For these last 1 or 2 rounds of breath, perhaps checking into your heart rate. How's your heart beating? Option to stay here as long as you want. And if you're ready to move again, I invite you to inhale and reach the arms up overhead. And an exhale for a forward fold. We'll start shifting it up a little bit. But first, I welcome you to inhale into a halfway lift if you want to take it. And then exhale and release back into your fold. With our hands stabilized, if you have blocks, this might be where you'd like to have them nearby. And you could step your right foot back and release your right knee to come into a low lunge. And if you have blocks, or if you'd like to use blocks, you could place them underneath your shoulders. And you have 3 different heights. You have our medium height right here, our lowest height, and our tallest height. So depending on what you need in this moment, you could decide. So from our low lunge, and it also might be helpful to have a blanket underneath your knee, and you can pad that blanket as much or as little as you want. But from our low lunge, you could stay right here. Maybe your hands are connected to the mat beneath you. Maybe they're connected to blocks. But you could choose to stay right here. This is a good place to be. You could also choose to maybe even extend through the arms, extend through the chest. So we reach our arms up overhead. Still in our low lunge, but a little bit of a different shape. 1 breath in and out here. And then you could stay right here, or you could begin to bring the hands back down to the block. An option to find a dynamic movement of inhaling at lunge, and maybe even exploring an exhale and shifting the hips back, lengthening through the left leg. And you could also allow your front foot to come up off of the mat if you want, keeping your heel connected for stability. And if it feels better to move the blocks a little bit back toward you, that's also an option. So if you want, you could begin to find this fluid movement back and forth. Or you might choose to stay in one shape, maybe a lunge, or maybe this half splits shape, lengthening back. You decide. You might even try both and see which one you prefer. One more breath here, in and out. And I'll meet you in a low lunge in stillness. This time, you could move your blocks to the side, and we're going to have an opportunity to take a side plank. So with our hands securely attached to the floor, you could take your left foot back, temporarily coming into a tabletop, and then taking your right foot and swinging it out over to the right as we shift the weight onto our right hand and right knee. Option to extend the left leg and maybe even reach your left hand up towards the sky, or you could always bring the left hand to your hip as we find a side plank here. Another option is to come down onto your right elbow. If you prefer, you might need a block underneath you. If your wrist feels tender, or if your wrist doesn't want to take that big shape, that's also an option. And starting to release out of our side plank, bringing our left hand to the floor, back into our tabletop. You have the choice here to find Balasana, child's shape, or down dog. There's no right or wrong. And if you've been taking one shape this whole time, and maybe you'd like to explore the other option, that's also a choice. And so whichever shape you choose, I welcome you to take 2 full breaths here. And with your next inhale, if you are in child shape or down dog, I welcome you to find your way forward into a forward fold. So you could step your feet forward when you're ready. I'll meet you there. Perhaps you take a halfway lift on an inhale and an exhale to take a fold. And an inhale to rise if you're ready for it. And an exhale to bring the hands down. All right. We'll take that same flow on the other side. So when you're ready, we'll breathe in together and exhale. Maybe you find your fold and your halfway lift in your own timing, connecting with your own breath. This time, you might step your left foot back and bring the left knee to the floor. Again, option to have your blocks nearby. Taking a pause here, checking in, and adjusting the stance as needed. You might leave your hands connected to the floor or the blocks, or you might begin to inhale and reach your arms up overhead, finding lots of length here. exploring, taking up space. One more breath in and out. And you might choose to stay here, or if you'd like, you could bring your hands right back down to the blocks or the floor. And you could inhale at lunge, then exhale, start to extend through the right leg, the right knee. Maybe your right foot peels up off of the floor. And again, you could find this fluid movement, or you could find stillness in one shape. I am safe. I am loved. I am. What are you right now? What are you affirming yourself with, reminding yourself of, encouraging yourself with? Last breath wherever you are. And if you feel complete, if you're ready to set the blocks to the side and bring the hands down to the earth, I'll meet you there. Sending the right foot back, coming into our tabletop pose temporarily. And if you'd like to take the side plank on this side, you could send your left foot out over to the side and starting to peel the right side of your body up. You could extend your right leg, maybe even open up your right hand toward the sky, finding your version of a side plank here. And again, you always have the option to rest your forearm on a block and come off of the left wrist if that feels best for your body. Last breath here. And you could stay here longer, or if you're ready to release, you could bring your right hand to the floor. Coming back into our tabletop shape, and perhaps you take a child's shape or a downward facing dog, or any other shape that feels welcome to your body, whether it be in stillness or movement. Observing your breath, just allowing your awareness to rest on your inhales and exhales without having to change them, just allowing them to be whatever they are in this moment. Two more breaths here. And if you are in downward facing dog, you might join me in a child shape whenever you're ready. With your next inhale, if you're ready to move on to the next portion of our class, you could shift yourself forward and lower yourself down onto your abdomen. So from here, you could bring your hands right in front of you, maybe even resting your forehead on your arms. Or you could just turn your face to the side, resting it on the floor. One more breath in and out. Maybe noticing how when you breathe in, your abdomen expands, pressing against the floor, feeling the feedback. And as you exhale, feeling the softening. And if you'd like, you could start to bend your right knee, drawing it toward your right glute. And you could, I'm going to come up on my elbows just to help me reach, so that's an option. You could reach back with your right hand, and you could either grab your right foot or grab your right ankle, depending on how your body feels in this shape. And you could stay up on your elbow and gently, mindfully pull your right ankle in towards your glute, as long as you don't feel any pain in your right knee. Or you could lower down onto the floor, maybe using your left forearm as a pillow, and draw the right heel in closer toward your body. Maybe even noticing the stretch that you could be feeling in your right quad. So taking a moment and noticing how this feels. If it feels like there's not a lot of space to reach back, you could also use a towel or a blanket to hook around your right ankle, and that would, or a strap even, and that would create some space. We'll settle in here for a bit of a longer hold. However, please know that you don't need my permission to leave a shape sooner than I do. You only need your own. If your lower back is feeling maybe a little pinchy or a little bit tight, you might explore pointing your tailbone down toward your left heel, down toward where your heels would be. And notice how that feels in the lower back. And when you do that, that might also increase the stretch that you feel in your right quad. Option to be here for the next 3 to 5 rounds of breath. Last breath. If you feel satisfied here, you might begin to release the right foot. Draw the right arm back in, and just pausing here for a moment in between to give your body a moment to rebound. And observing if you feel any differences in between your right leg and your left leg, and if so, what would that difference be? Last breath here. And before we move to the other side, option to take a half frog shape, and that would be opening up your right knee and allowing, maybe even creating a 90-degree angle so that your right knee perhaps is in alignment with your right hip. However, it doesn't have to be. But this could be something you explore, and if this doesn't feel welcome, you could either bring it up higher or bring it up lower. There is no right or wrong. finding a shape here that you can settle into for the next 5 to 7 breaths. Remembering that if ever you feel that you need a little bit more coverage and protection, you could always drape a blanket or a towel over your legs and your hips. And if this shape does not feel supportive to you in this moment, please give yourself permission to leave this shape at any time. Last 1 or 2 breaths here. When you feel complete, you could extend the right leg down, next to the left. Noting any differences. And here in between sides, before we go to the left side, I welcome you to bring your affirmation to mind, whichever one you are working with. Perhaps it's the community intention and affirmation. I am safe. I am loved. I am fill in the blank. When you decide that you're ready, you could begin to reach back for your left ankle. So you might begin to draw the left ankle toward your left glute, reaching back with your left hand. You could grab onto your foot or your ankle, and perhaps you stay up on your right elbow, or perhaps you lower it down onto your chest and abdomen. Adjusting the shape, maybe using a strap or a towel if that feels supportive to you. We'll be here for the next 5 to 7 rounds of breath. However, you can leave whenever you decide to, or you can stay longer. Last round of breath here, in and out. And if you are ready to release your left foot, you could begin to do so, resting it back down on the earth next to your right leg, and checking in for just a breath or two and observing if maybe the legs feel a bit more balanced, if maybe the sensation in your left leg feels a bit more matched to the sensation in your right leg now that we've taken the stretch on both sides. And they might still feel different, and that's okay too. And when you decide that you're ready, you could come into half frog on the left side, drawing the left knee up to your desired height. You could rest your forehead on your hands, or you could turn your cheek and rest the side of your face on the mat for 5 to 7 breaths. Last rounds of breath here. And after your last exhale, if you're ready to lift the head maybe and allow your left leg to extend back, pausing in between for just 1 to 2 breaths. In your own timing, you could begin to find your way into your choice of a Savasana or resting shape. And you could stay right here, perhaps resting on your abdomen if this feels safe for you.